Welcome to Audit Archive, where we run you through some of the most questionable and rather atrocious police encounters. Today, we're looking at a case where a police chief and his officer both teamed up to illegally question and detain a man who had committed no crime whatsoever. On June 29, 2023, a man named Andrew Stading was in a cafe having lunch when his wife came inside and informed him that he had apparently hit a building with his truck. She was informed by the building owner himself, namely Hoyles Sutton. In response to this, Mr. Stading immediately rushed to meet Mr. Sutton, where he was shown images of his truck up against the bright orange building and some more images of the damage done to the building itself. Noticing that there was indeed some minor damage done, Mr. Stading promptly apologized for any wrongdoing and offered to fix the damage himself or pay for the damage repaired by someone of his choice. Mr. Stading actively acknowledged his mistake, and both parties came to a mutual agreement and shook hands after exchanging their information. At this point in time, both parties went about their way when Mr. Stading suddenly noticed two police officers approaching him, Chief of Police Zach Weber and Sergeant Rob Neunfeld, both with the Flandreau Police Department. They immediately demanded ID from Mr. Stading and even asked him to show them his papers. The events following this were captured on both officers' body cams, which we will now analyze.
So here's the idea, or here's what's going on. We do have a law that says you do have to identify yourself. So if you do not identify yourself, you will be going to jail.
I'll be going to jail? You're going to kidnap me? What crime did I commit?
Right now, failure to identify yourself.
So what do you need my ID for? What is the crime I committed?
Because you were involved in an accident. I'm not saying you committed a crime right now. But because you're...
Why are you shaking, man? Are you alright? Are you nervous?
No.
You're shaking. That makes me kind of nervous, man. You're over there with all these guns and shit all suited up, and you're the one shaking. Are you alright, man? You see what's going on here? You see him shaking?
Yep.
Are you alright? Do you need medical attention?
No, I'm good. What I want right now is for you to identify yourself.
That's what you want. That's nice. We can want anything we want. You ain't gonna get it.
As seen in the footage, both officers were adamant about identifying Mr. Stading, but at the same time had already admitted that he committed no crime at all. To understand the ridiculous contradictions by the officers, it's worth noting that many states have stop and identify laws. Under these laws, if a police officer reasonably suspects that someone has engaged in criminal activity, the officer can detain that person and ask for identification. A person who then refuses to provide identification commits the crime of resisting an officer's lawful order. Also, without reasonable suspicion, however, a demand for identification may be illegal. Keeping this in mind, South Dakota, the state where this incident occurred, is in fact not a stop and identify state, completely ruling out this law. It stated that South Dakota does not have stop and ID laws, so individuals in South Dakota are not obligated to provide identification when approached by law enforcement officers. So, taking these factors into account, we can conclude that this police interaction was completely unlawful from the get-go. Despite this, what happened next was even worse. Watch as both officers forcefully restrain Mr. Stading and place him in handcuffs without giving him a reasonable answer for their actions.
That's what you want. That's nice. We can want anything we want. You ain't gonna get it.
Okay. Put your hands up on the car.
I made a deal with that man right there.
Put your hands up on the car.
I said, hey, maybe...
Put your hands up on the car.
Okay? And I worked out with him that I will cover the damages. That has nothing to do with you.
Fine.
Nothing to do with you.
I still have to do a report.
Do your report. That's lovely.
Okay, hands up.
At this point, I wish to remain secure in my person's papers and effects. Sir, I will charge you with assault and kidnapping. I'm not resisting. Why are you both up on me?
He's not on you. He's holding your arm.
I do not wish for this to happen, gentlemen.
You were given a lawful order.
No, that's not an order. Yeah, dude, my wrist is backwards. Come on, man.
It's not backwards. It's on right.
It's not backwards. Come on.
It's supposed to be like this so you can't
So I'm supposed to be like this and like break my wrist? Come on.
It's not
man.
broke.
No, but you're gonna go try and sit me down in the back of your car like that. You want me to break my wrist when I
It's
sit
not
down?
going to
Come
break
on.
when you sit down.
Look at this. Am I even resistant? Is there a need for this, or is this just so that you guys can feel better about yourselves?
Oh yeah, real good about myself.
Yeah, you do, huh? You know, there's real crime in this city. There's like murder.
There is, like
rapists.
failing to identify yourself when
Yeah,
you're involved
failure
in an
to
accident.
identify as a crime. I want to see the charge for that. What charge is that? What law did I break by failure to identify? Let me see. Is South Dakota a stop and ID state?
Not
Gentlemen.
stopping an ID, you're involved in an accident.
Whoa, whoa, whoa. Show me what law you're saying I'm breaking. You're over here throwing me in a car.
Now, the officers have accused Mr. Stating of being involved in an accident. According to the law, it's generally understood that, in order to justify a detention, an officer must be able to articulate specific facts that led to a reasonable suspicion that the suspect is involved in criminal activity. In this case, being involved in an accident cannot be justified as a reasonable suspicion since it is not inherently indicative of criminal activity. On top of this, Mr. Stating had already dealt with the involved party, which basically meant that no further investigation or due process was required from law enforcement.
Okay, knives on you beside this one?
I have all kinds of stuff on my pockets that you are not free to touch, sir. That is my property.
Exactly, and you're under arrest. Any other knives?
I'm sure I got plenty on me.
Two, maybe four. All right, have a seat.
What are you doing with my property?
Your property's in the front seat right next to where you're going to be.
Well, it might behoove you to know that there's another small knife in my right pocket. And I really know you were not allowed to reach into my pocket. Untake the cuffs off and I'll get it myself.
It's in your front pocket, you can't reach it anyway. Get in.
Do not touch me. Oh, you can't just take the cuffs off, though, huh?
All right, have a seat.
I'd rather not.
I don't care what you rather do. Get in the car.
What is your name?
Sergeant Neuenfeld.
Neunfeld and Weber. What is your first name?
Rob.
Rob
Get in.
Neunfeld and what Weber?
Zach.
Zach Weber. No,
Inside
thank
the car.
you. This is against my will. How does someone fit back here, really?
Not very good.
At this point, it's clear that Mr. Stating was under arrest, as Sergeant Neunfeld explicitly stated. This was, yet again, completely unlawful. This is because, to arrest a suspect, a police officer must have probable cause. Probable cause exists when facts and circumstances within the police officer's knowledge would lead a reasonable person to believe that the suspect is involved in criminal activity. The most important point is that probable cause can't be established merely by suspicion. This point is particularly important because there is virtually no way for the officers to determine whether Mr. Stating had committed a crime or not. They had not questioned the other party yet, and were merely assuming that Mr. Stating was fleeing from the accident. What makes this even more ridiculous is the fact that Chief Weber had already admitted that no crime was committed at the very beginning of this encounter. And adding on top of all the absurdity, the officers were also violating Mr. Stating's Fourth Amendment rights, which protect individuals from this exact situation. The Fourth Amendment states that the right of the people to be secure in their persons, houses, papers, and effects against unreasonable searches and seizures shall not be violated. But unfortunately, this was exactly what happened to Mr. Stating here. Following this, the officers finally remembered that they had yet to do what they were supposed to do at the very beginning of this encounter. Watch as they now have a word with Mr. Sutton, the owner of the building which was damaged.
thought that was unlocked.
Oh. So what happened?
So Hussein used to cook at Fajitas, big native guy. His mom knocked on the door, came in, and was like, "What's going on?" She said, "Somebody just hit your building and then drove away." I was like, "Well, did you see where they went?" "Yeah, they backed in right over by the whatever deal, restaurant." I was like, "Okay." So she sent me, I sent this to her already. She sends me, I said, "Do you have a picture of it?" She goes, "Yeah." So she sends me that from the apartment they live in.
Okay.
So I walk over there, I'm looking around the truck, and she's walking back up. She said, "If I need to testify, I'll testify. What's right's right, what's wrong's wrong." I was like, "Okay." And she goes, "Oh, I was looking for license plate." She goes, "Oh, they're on the dash." So I took a picture of the license plate on the dash. So there's no plates anywhere else on the truck. And as I was sitting there, the lady in the white car, she said, "Can I help you?" I'm like, "Is this yours? Or do you know whose this is?" "It's my husband's." "Why?" So he hit my building. I said, "It's not a big deal. He just hit it. Just want to figure out what's going on." Well, let me back up. Right away she said, he didn't do that. He's been here forever." "When did it happen?" I said, 10, 15 minutes ago. She just came in my office. "He's been here for a long time. That truck hasn't moved." So I called Weber and said, "Hey, somebody hit my vehicle or my office. They're claiming it didn't happen. It's easier to just get a police report out, because if I turn it into insurance, they're going to want what I do." So he comes out right away. "Yeah, sorry if I did it. I don't know if I did or didn't, but if I did it, I'll just fix it, take care of it." I'm like, "Oh, I have Dan Hahn. I just put it on a year ago. I'll have him come back over and figure out what it's going to take to patch it. It's not going to be horrible. There's a reason we put that brake in there for reasons like this. If we got to cut it all out. It blends better." And he's like, "Yep, no problem, whatever." And I said, "Hey, that's Zach." I said, "I just called the cops in case I turn into insurance. I need a police report." Yeah, and then you took over. He got belligerent right away.
So you didn't make no deal with him that he's going to pay for it?
I said I would have Han come look at it and we can figure out, because I gave him my number.
Okay.
I said, "We can figure out what it's going to take to fix it." I said, "But I don't know." He goes, "I'll fix it." I'm going to have Dan fix it. I said, "If you're going to fix it, you're going to pay to fix it, we're good, but I don't." And then you pulled in, and then he got belligerent.
So he didn't identify himself to you yet either?
Well, he said his first name, but I didn't catch it. He kind of moved through it. But that's his wife. She identified herself to me as his wife. He said, "That's my husband's pickup." He said he just got it. He didn't deny doing it. He said, "I just got this, and it's a big old truck I'm not used to driving, I lied of."
After hearing Mr. Sutton's side of the story, it firstly proves that what Mr. Stating claimed was true. Both parties had indeed come to an agreement. Secondly, his side of the story should have been enough for them to realize that they had illegally arrested Mr. Stating. Lastly, one very important point to bear in mind is the fact that Mr. Sutton stated that Mr. Stating had identified himself during their conversation, adding that Mr. Stating mentioned his first name, but it was rather unclear. This point will now come into play.
Step out. So Frank said you drop something?
Yeah, my phone.
Here, I get it for you. So the statute that you need to identify yourself for is you hit the building.
Is that the law?
Yes.
Is that a statute?
South
or is that
Dakota
law?
State Codified Law.
Is a statute. It's not law.
It says codified law. In
What
the
sovereign
description.
writ that law?
Huh?
What sovereign writ
State of South
that
Dakota.
law? The state of South Dakota is not sovereign.
I know, it's a state. That's where you're at.
No, I'm in a state of bliss. I'm in a state of being.
Okay.
I'm in a natural state.
All right. So.
I am not in the state of South Dakota. I am on
All right.
the land.
You can explain that to the
call.
judge. All right. I don't need to hear it. You can explain that to the judge.
Well, you guys are going to release me and stop wasting my time, or I'm going to charge you for my time.
Yep, we tried that once already. It didn't work so well, did it?
Oh, you think I tried that?
Yes, because I know who you are.
Oh, okay. Let's see how that goes.
You
'Cause
can identify yourself.
Or
for
you
the
guys can
accident
keep
report.
running your extortion racket, because I've worked out with that man that I will compensate
Really?
any and all damages. And I don't
funny.
need no third-party interlopers interfering into my affairs.
Because he said you didn't identify yourself.
I identified myself to him.
Not according to him.
Okay. Then he can go to court and we'll have this conversation in court. But I have nothing to do with you two clowns.
As we've just heard, Sergeant Neufeld essentially lied to Mr. Stating, claiming that he did not identify himself when speaking to Mr. Sutton. But we already know that this was not the case. Let's replay the footage where Mr. Sutton told the officers that Mr. Stating did in fact provide his first name.
So he didn't identify himself to you yet either?
Well, he said his first name, but I didn't catch it.
Note that this minor detail has absolutely nothing to do with officers' unlawful investigation, but it goes to show how tyrannical Sergeant Neufeld was as he tried to coerce Mr. Stating into thinking that he was wrong. Next, watch as Sergeant Neufeld started to backtrack and went from illegally arresting Mr. Stating to now claiming that he would be let go with a citation for leaving the scene of the accident.
You're going to get a citation for leaving the scene of an accident.
Oh, I left while I was here the whole time?
Did you?
What was I
Did
not
you
here
go
the
in
whole
the
time?
Did you go in the building and tell him that you hit his building?
I didn't know I hit the building, sir.
Okay. So now we're going to come out here and told you that you did.
Yeah, actually someone else came in there and told me that I
No,
did.
because
And then
she
I
recorded it.
And then I came running right out as soon as I was told that I hit someone's building. And I came out to see what was going on, and I told the man, hey, if it was me, I'm sorry, I f***ed up. I will gladly fix it. What is it going to cost? I can fix it myself, or if you want to hire your guy to fix it, that's fine. I have no problem compensating damages of anything I've done wrong. I do have a problem with road pirates sitting here trying to extort me and waste my time.
So what you want to do?
I'd love to be left alone to go about my day.
You're going to be left alone as soon as we get done with the crash report.
Then why are you wasting my time?
I'm not wasting your time, you're wasting my time because you won't give us your name so we can write it in the report and get this over with and get you on your way.
My name is none of your business.
It is. It needs to go in the accident report. It needs to be given to the victim.
Okay, I'll go talk to the victim.
Even though it's rather obvious that Mr. Stating did not flee the scene of the accident, let's take a look at what he was unreasonably accused of. Under the South Dakota hit and run laws, you are guilty of a misdemeanor if you leave the scene of an accident. And according to Section 32-34-4 of the South Dakota Codified Laws, if you were involved in a traffic collision with an unattended vehicle or property, you have a legal obligation to make a reasonable effort to locate the struck property owner. If you cannot locate the owner, you may securely attach a note on a conspicuous section of the struck vehicle. The note must contain your name, vehicle registration, address, and contact information. Failure to find the property owner or leave a note constitutes a Class 2 misdemeanor. Judging by this, we understand that the accusation against Mr. Stating was not only false, but also invalid, since Mr. Stating had already located the property owner and come to a mutual agreement with him. He had basically done his legal duty to contact the other party, proving once again that no crime was committed.
No, you think only government can solve problems. Your daddy didn't teach you right. You didn't know that. Your daddy never taught you that two men
You know
can
why?
go talk
Because
to
he's
each
dead.
Yeah.
Don't ever talk
And
about
while
my
he was
dad.
here, he didn't teach you right, did he? He
No,
didn't teach you
'cause
that
I
another
was
man.
one.
He didn't teach you that another man can go talk to another man and solve his problems. You don't need government
Did I
intervention.
learn that when I was 1 year old?
I don't know.
Exactly.
But it's brought you to what you are today.
No, it isn't.
Really?
So you can continue with him with his investigation, or you can go to jail. We don't really. It's
My
not
name
up
is
to
Good
us.
Citizen.
Last chance. Last opportunity.
What are you doing, man? Why are you being so rough with me?
So now you're gonna go to jail.
Oh, you're being so good. Why are you throwing me around? Chill. I'll get in the car. Why don't you relax? Or no, you just got to be a tough guy because you got me in handcuffs. You got that uniform on. The state gave you some title. You think you're king. I know. But why don't you calm the down?
At this point, the officers had gone back to square one, arresting Mr. Stating for no reason, or likely just because he didn't want to identify himself, as that would violate his rights. Sergeant Neufeld then drove Mr. Stating down to the station and unbelievably left some of his property on the hood of the patrol vehicle throughout the journey. After reaching the station, Mr. Stating was restrained to a bench inside where he waited for several minutes, not knowing what would happen next.
You did have a phone?
It is in my pocket.
Okay, so this is a PR, so you can call your wife and have her come and get you in the paperwork. Still that front door here. I'm gonna take one of them off. Okay, don't drop your phone. Pull it out, there you go. Can I have a seat here quick?
Hey, that is what you want, right?
A little bit over.
Automated voice message.
After the wait, Chief Weber approached Mr. Stating with a ticket that had his name on it and was asked to sign it. Once the ticket was officially issued, Mr. Stating was allowed to leave. Ultimately, Mr. Stating filed a formal complaint against the Flange Row Police Department and both officers. After detailing the entire encounter, Mr. Stating mentioned that, "I got an injury from this assault. I've gone to both the local urgent care and a chiropractor in Brookings for this injury. I work for myself with my hands, and Zach has injured my rotator cuff. According to both local doctor and the chiropractor in Brookings, my rotator cuff is damaged. I am waiting for the swelling to go down in my shoulder to get an MRI." As of the date of this recording, Mr. Stating has left an update which says that, "I have settled with the man in private, and I still have court at the end of this month. I'm having no luck in looking for a lawyer. I will do my best to move my own claim and require a trial by jury." Be sure to check out our previous video where we cover another outrageous police encounter